All right, this is the reality of going from 0 to 18K per month in 12 months. Just kind of want to make this video and talk a little bit more about my experience, like mentally, with everything that's happened so far, and kind of what I've gone through, at least in terms of the journey. I'm gonna refresh the stripes. I see guys doing that now, just because there's a lot of jokers out there talking about things they're not doing. So you can kind of see about 18 point something K right now. That is in 12 months. A year ago, I was starting my business. I had no idea what I was doing, and basically just sitting in front of the computer every single day, banging my head against the wall, like I know a lot of people are. So honestly, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about some of the struggles, some of the wins. I think a lot of the struggles are also kind of play into the wins of things that were extremely hard and are still extremely hard for me, but are contributing to some of the growth, both personally and in the business. So kind of have more of the struggles on this side and then some of the wins here. But honestly, just kind of trying to break this down because I think as people that are trying to build online businesses, we all just see Stripe dashboards all the time, all these videos of how I make this much a month doing this, and it just becomes so tied up in the what's your volume or what's your monthly recurring revenue, and you don't really think as much about the mental side of this and the things that people are actually going through. I mean, honestly, the last couple of months have been some of the hardest mental months of my life. Not in the sense that because of the fact that things have been going well, and just trying to kind of cope with that, and try to adopt a new identity. So kind of just wanted to go through some of what that means for me. Again, like I said, 12 months ago, I was sitting in my computer looking up online businesses. What can I start? What can I do? And so it's been what has felt like a lifetime to me over the last year has really been a couple months of just a lot of work, and so made some progress so far, which has been great. But just kind of going through that, some of the things that have been hard for me. I'm going to kind of go one by one here. Anxiety. So this is one that is not really. I feel like my entire life, people just it's kind of taboo, right? Like I think people talk about it more now, but not something that people talk about a whole lot. Maybe in relation to business. And I'm lucky enough to have people that I'm surrounded with I can kind of ask these sorts of questions to. But definitely dealt with a severe amount of anxiety over the last year with just kind of the nature of how this works. Like first year in business, crazy ups and downs. You're sitting there, you have no idea how you're going to make this work. And it's just so hard, and even now waking up every day, like what's the day going to bring? What could possibly happen? What can go wrong? All that sort of stuff where it's just, you know, it can feel like a very heavy mental load on some days. And again, there are so many people doing so much more volume than me, and multiples of everything. I know I've said that in pretty much every video, but I think it's still can kind of still feel it at any level. I mean, I remember getting to my first 2 or 3 thousand per month, and worrying so much about losing clients, and churn and everything collapsing and all that sort of stuff. And same thing now, right? And I think it'll be the same kind of feelings in different waves and in different kind of existing in different ways as I get bigger. Um, so on the positive side, experience. So over the last year, I feel like I have lived 5 lives. I mean, I literally feel like the experience of maybe moving down to Central America by myself, and kind of building this business, from everything from that to learning what it's like to get a client, 10 clients, first $1,000, first 5,000, hitting that 10K mark that everybody thinks about, and it's kind of shoved down your throat from the beginning when you start. I feel like I've gained so much experience, so many skills, and it's been such an incredible personal development period of time, to where I feel like I've compressed maybe like 5 or 10 years into one, in terms of skill acquisition and just being absolutely forced to learn on a daily basis. So um, definitely happy with that, and feeling the effects of that. Social isolation. So this one is, this might look different depending on your situation, but I kind of took the extreme approach of, I was looking at these videos, and I guess I took the whole like lock yourself in a room videos in complete seriousness. That's exactly what I did over the last year. I literally have just locked myself in a room and not really talked to anybody, um, 13, 14 hours a day, every single day. And that's just how it's been. And I've, talked to a lot of guys that have done it the same way or have kind of just fully committed to this and done something similar. And I honestly don't really know any other way for me. I know, again, that's like there's kind of this weird hustle culture now of like if you're not, bleeding your eyes out, basically, then you're not doing enough. I don't agree with that, but I definitely think, completely committing myself over this last year to making this work has been extremely good for me and also extremely hard, not being able to participate in social things or maybe forcefully removing myself and just taking, 99% of my time to work on business and learning things. So that's been tough, but also good for me. Scrappy to operator. So that's what I feel like something that I'm both struggling with and something that I feel like is getting better is this sense of like scrappy in the sense of I'm just starting out. I'm trying to get my first couple clients to, all right, now this is a business that we're doing, decent amount of revenue. I, can start potentially thinking about hiring somebody. It's like, how do we move from that, basically the guy in the mom's basement, right? That's trying to start a business to like somebody that's running the business. This is a real business. You're putting the systems in place to have this run and to continue to kind of build it up. So that's kind of the identity transformation I'm going through right now of like, what does that look like? And how do you continue to transition from the scrappy kid that's trying to figure it out to, all right, let's build a real business here. The lonely chapter. This is something that I feel so heavily and something that ever since I listened to Chris Williamson, Hormozy talk about it, it's just hit me so hard of like, I would literally, and I still do, but just put on those compilations of those guys talking about this lonely chapter for hours and hours and hours every day. It's like a song to me, just thinking about, the gap between where you are and where you're going and that you're too different from the people that you're surrounded with now to where you're kind of feel isolated from them, but you're not yet sufficiently developed or successful enough to be friends with the people you want to. And God, if I ever have felt that, and it can create an intense feeling of loneliness. And for me, it absolutely has. So I think the antidote to that for me has been trying to really surround myself with more people that are doing a similar business and making connections and hopping on calls and making sure it just doesn't, have to feel too lonely. What is reality? So this is something that I don't want to say struggling with a lot, but it's something that it's been, my entire perception of reality has completely shifted in the last year. I think, anybody that's watching this that maybe attended high school or college and, grew up, I know everybody doesn't grow up in these sorts of ways, but I think, going to school, going to, middle school, high school, potentially college, depending on what you decide to do, you're just kind of fed this information all the time, like every day from people that are your teachers or, maybe administration at the school or just people you're surrounded with, like friends, parents, all that sort of stuff that feed you this information of what reality is, right? What is the real world? What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to do this, and then you're supposed to do this. All right, now you've completed that, and now you got to go do this thing. There's like this set path that everybody just seems to go down and accept. And at the beginning, it was so hard for me I just knew, I was like, I know that there's another way. I don't know what that is yet, but I'm going to find it. And I found it. And I found people that are literally accomplishing things that you couldn't even imagine in terms of business wise, or at least for me in terms of my mental state, even now, where it's like reality is no longer, it's like you can truly create this. And that's, I've undergone this process over the last year of every morning visualizing these things that I want to achieve and then putting in the work and actually seeing them come out on the other end. It's just been incredible for me in my own life. I remember when I first started this, I moved to Indonesia for 6 months with just enough money in the bank to make it work and try to figure something out. Then I remember, one of my family friends' dad said, "Oh, that's great. Well, when will he come back to the real world? The real world, this and that." And just these stories and ways of living that we're fed that I no longer believe in. I realize I can almost kind of just sit back and view that from the outside. I feel like now, finally, of like, you get to create your reality. Like, it is possible. This stuff is possible. And it's so cool to be able to talk to guys that are just achieving these goals that are so far ahead of me. But I know if I just stay in the fight, then one day it'll come. So this is another one, struggle wise, of the key man. So like, starting everything alone, being completely by yourself, it all falls on you, right? It all falls on you, and that's extremely hard. And that's something that I'm now solving in terms of, getting a virtual assistant. I've had one for a couple of months. My guy David helping me out, and thinking about getting somebody to help with onboarding and eventually sales. Just trying to remove myself from being, having to do all the manual actions myself, having to answer all the questions, etc. Fulfillment. This is one of the good things. I feel more fulfilled and more excited to wake up now than any other moment in my entire life. I can truly say that. I remember, even in college, I had no idea what I was going to do after school. I was like so stressed out and kind of, sad, because I was like, I'm so into the gym, I'm so into personal development and getting better, but I'm not excited to really go to class and all that sort of stuff. And now I finally found something where I can grow, and I can see these puzzle pieces that I need to put in place, that I haven't figured out yet. It's like when you get dropped on the video game map, everything is gray around you, just slowly discovering these other areas. And it's just so fulfilling, and to be able to connect with other people doing the same. It's incredible. All right, this is a very tough one for me. Never enough, meaning no matter what I do, it's never enough. No matter how many clients I sign, or MRR added, or whatever I feel like I've done, there's always more to do. And I think that's maybe the trade-off for trading time for money, and realizing now that there's no cap on the amount of money that you can make within a certain period of time, the amount of value that you can provide in a certain period of time, that it's hard to turn it off for me. It's hard to not, be tossing and turning in bed thinking about potential and all that sort of stuff. This is definitely what I'm struggling with, and also trying to hone in and play more in the long game. And then path forward and circle here. So number one, the path forward is like, in terms of the positive nature of it, is like, I'm just trying to do everything I can to keep focus forward, and to keep focus on bigger goals and larger goals, right? Like I've had this, background on my phone for the last year and a half of somebody that's just summited a mountain. And the only thing he sees when he gets to the top of the mountain is another mountain with a bigger summit. And that image means so much to me, because it's like, you're always going to climb these mountains, achieve these goals, and there will always be bigger ones off in the distance. So just trying to even, get to this point, and keep my focus forward, keep moving forward, and just keep growing. And then circle is the last one. So I've met an incredible group of people here. Throughout this period, I've also, lost friends and people that maybe weren't adding to my life in the way that they needed to. And I feel like I'm just meeting so many awesome people, and so many people that are building their own businesses, that are excited about life, that share the same, attitude of anything's possible. They're actively achieving their dreams, and just really getting surrounded by an incredible group of people here. So it's been a crazy 12 months. It'll be super cool to look back on this video in another 12, and just keep moving forward here. Keep growing, keep enjoying, keep providing value, and just meeting a whole bunch of cool people. So yeah, guys, that's just kind of my own personal diary here, documenting the journey and sharing it with others. So the whole journey of building a business doesn't feel so lonely, because it doesn't have to. So whether you're starting out or you're trying to get started in business, I have a community where get together with guys. It's totally free. You can kind of join, come by, chat more. That'll be in the link in the description. I'll put it there if you want to check it out. And yeah, keep crushing it, everybody.